Would you trust your life with a stranger behind the wheel? Across Canada, Canadians are raising alarms. Reckless Uber and DoorDash drivers, many of them new immigrants, are flooding the roads. But what's really going on? And why are Indian and immigrant gig drivers being accused of turning our streets into danger zones? Chapter 1. The Gig Economy Explosion. Over the past decade, Canada's gig economy has grown at breakneck speed. Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, and Skip the Dishes are no longer side hustles. They are now the main income source fortunes of thousands of people. The majority of these workers are immigrants, with Indians making up one of the fastest growing groups entering gig work. In cities like Brampton and Mississauga, entire neighborhoods seem filled with Uber and DoorDash cars. For newcomers, these platforms are lifelines. They bypass the barriers of traditional employment. No Canadian experience, no waiting months for paperwork, and no interviews. You can start working in hours. At first, Canadians embraced the convenience. Rides were cheaper than taxis, food was delivered faster, and jobs were being created. It felt like progress. But as the number of immigrant gig drivers exploded, Canadians began to notice something else. Their roads were changing. Insurance companies reported spikes in rideshare-related claims. Auto body shops saw more accident repairs. Pedestrians and cyclists reported more near misses. Everyday Canadians started documenting reckless driving on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Many of those videos showed cars with Uber and DoorDash stickers. In Toronto alone, officials estimate there are over 90,000 active rideshare drivers, more than double the number of licensed taxis across the entire country. Critics argue the industry has expanded too quickly, with little thought about how it impacts road safety. At the center of this explosion are Indian and immigrant drivers, celebrated by some as hard-working newcomers, condemned by others as reckless road hazards. This contradiction has fueled heated online debates, turning a conversation about apps into a national flashpoint about safety and immigration. And the growth isn't slowing down, meaning the tension will only get worse. For many Canadians, the question isn't if, but when this reckless driving crisis turns deadly on a larger scale. Chapter 2. The Reckless Driving Crisis. Dashcams and viral videos paint a troubling picture. Uber cars speeding through yellow lights, DoorDash drivers blocking entire lanes while dropping food, and sudden swerves across traffic have become daily sights. Many drivers juggle 3 to 4 apps at once: Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, and Skip the Dishes, constantly glancing at multiple phones while driving. This divided attention makes accidents almost inevitable. GPS reliance is another factor. Drivers slam their brakes after missing a turn or cut across 2 lanes because the app suddenly rerouted them. These split-second maneuvers put everyone in danger. Cyclists and pedestrians are particularly vulnerable. Advocacy groups report immigrant gig drivers blocking bike lanes, stopping illegally, and double parking near crosswalks. In busy immigrant-heavy areas like Surrey, Vancouver, and Brampton, traffic congestion caused by rideshare cars is worsening. Delivery drivers idle on sidewalks, honking, rushing, and creating chaos. Taxi unions claim they are losing business to poorly trained immigrant gig drivers who operate without proper road safety standards. They argue that rideshare apps have unleashed unregulated chaos. Recent news stories highlight tragic accidents involving immigrant gig drivers, from pedestrians killed at crosswalks to pile-ups caused by reckless maneuvers. Critics say this isn't random, it's a pattern. With so many drivers under pressure to maximize earnings, unsafe behavior becomes normalized. Canadians describe their roads as a free-for-all where everyone is rushing, distracted and stressed. The phrase "reckless Indian" and "immigrant drivers" has gone viral on social media, further inflaming tensions. The problem isn't isolated. It's spreading across every major Canadian city where Uber and DoorDash dominate. What started as a few complaints has now snowballed into a nationwide perception of immigrant drivers as reckless threats. And unless something changes, that perception, fair or not, will define how Canadians see newcomers on the road. Chapter 3. Why is this happening? To understand this crisis, we need to examine the forces driving immigrant workers into these roles. For many Indians and newcomers, gig driving is their only option. Professional degrees don't transfer, and traditional jobs require Canadian experience. Gig apps become survival tools. But survival comes at a price. Drivers often work 12 to 15-hour days just to make enough after fuel, insurance, and platform cuts. That economic desperation pushes them to take risks, speeding to finish more trips, multitasking across apps, and bending traffic laws to shave off minutes. Cultural differences also play a role. In countries like India, traffic is chaotic, with honking, weaving, and improvisation as normal. Adapting to Canada's stricter, slower traffic norms takes time. Add language barriers, struggling to understand road signs, misunderstanding traffic directions, or mishearing passenger instructions. A split-second mistake in Canada can mean a crash. Uber and DoorDash make the problem worse. Their onboarding is almost instant. There's little to no driver training. Safety is left to chance. Critics accuse these companies of knowingly exploiting immigrants who are desperate for work, throwing them onto Canadian roads with no preparation. Accountability is weak. Unlike taxis, rideshare drivers face few consequences for unsafe driving. Deactivated on one account, simply register under another. The corporations profit, the drivers struggle, and Canadians deal with the consequences. This is why many Canadians feel unsafe, not just because of who's driving, but because of the system that encourages cutting corners. The issue isn't black and white. Yes, immigrants are behind many of these incidents, but they're also victims of a corporate model designed to squeeze maximum profit out of desperate workers. Until Canada addresses both the economic pressures and the corporate negligence, the reckless driving will continue. Chapter 4. The impact on Canadians. For Canadians, this issue has real consequences. Parents are nervous about letting their kids walk to school. Seniors worry about crossing busy streets. Cyclists feel their lives are at risk daily. Insurance rates are climbing, especially in immigrant-heavy cities where rideshare driving is common. Ordinary Canadians are paying higher premiums even if they never take an Uber. Roads are increasingly clogged. It's common to see multiple Uber cars circling the same block, waiting for orders and causing traffic jams. Families who once relied on Uber for convenience now wonder if it's safe. Stories of near-miss crashes or reckless drivers circulate widely on social media. Some politicians are now pushing for stricter regulations, caps on the number of gig drivers, mandatory Canadian road training, and tougher penalties for unsafe driving. But immigrant advocacy groups argue this unfairly singles out newcomers, creating an environment of discrimination. The debate has polarized Canadians. Some argue it's about safety, not race. Others claim it's thinly veiled prejudice against immigrants. Online comment sections explode with arguments. "These drivers are ruining our roads," versus "Stop blaming immigrants for a broken system." Meanwhile, ordinary Canadians feel caught in the middle. They just want to feel safe on the streets. The tension is more than about driving. It's becoming a reflection of how Canadians view immigration itself. As roads get busier and accidents rise, trust in both rideshare apps and immigrant communities continues to erode. Unless serious reforms happen, the divide between Canadians and immigrant drivers will only deepen. And every accident, every viral video, every reckless maneuver feeds the fire. Chapter 5. The Truth. Nobody wants to say. Here's the hard truth. Yes, many reckless drivers are Indians and immigrants. But this isn't just an immigration problem, it's a system problem. Corporations like Uber and DoorDash have built a business model on pushing desperate workers into unsafe conditions. They profit from volume. The more trips, the more money. Driver safety and public safety is secondary. Immigrants are both the drivers of this problem and its victims. They are blamed when accidents happen, but they're also trapped in an exploitative system. Canadians face rising risks, but the real culprits, the corporations, continue to expand unchecked. Without stricter government regulation, nothing will change. Caps on drivers, mandatory training, stronger insurance rules, and real accountability are needed now. Blaming immigrants alone risks dividing communities while letting corporations escape responsibility. But ignoring reckless driving also puts Canadians in danger. It's a delicate balance few politicians want to touch. This is why the debate is so heated, because it sits at the intersection of safety, economics, and immigration. Canadians are right to be concerned, and immigrants are right to feel scapegoated. Both realities exist at once. Unless Canadians unite to demand accountability from corporations and governments, this crisis will only escalate. The uncomfortable truth? Canada's roads are more dangerous today than ever before. And every Canadian must now decide, will we demand change or keep risking lives for cheap rides and deliveries? So what do you think? Are gig apps helping immigrants or putting Canadians at risk? Comment below and let's hear your voice. If you think road safety should come before corporate profits, hit that like button. Share this video to spread awareness and subscribe for more hard-hitting stories Canada can't ignore.